In our UX design review today, we'll see a clash between business needs and user needs when it comes to sign-up flow. The sign-up flow is a very important part of the onboarding journey since it impacts user activation and user retention. As a business, you want to learn as much as possible about the user. You want to make sure that they enable notification. As a user, I just want to get into the app as fast as possible. And today we'll review some examples from some of the best companies out there. Let's jump into it. We'll take a look at Zillow, Revolut, and Airbnb. All right, so the first thing that we can notice looking at Zillow is the fact that they're not necessarily showing any welcome screens. Usually, it's always best practice to show a couple of welcome screens to get people excited, to remind them about the value proposition of the app. Here we can already see a great point since they are also offering people to continue with third-party authentication, which really allow people to get into your app as fast as possible without filling in their name, their email, so it makes everything much faster. Something that I'm always noticing in many designs is the fact that people forget to consider the keyboard when they are designing. So often you'll see that the continue button can get hidden by the keyboard, so just something very important to consider as you're designing those screens. Zillow is mostly relying on the traditional email and password, but there are many companies right now that decide to go the passwordless route by asking your phone number or your email and sending you a login link. It's very important to set up clear security requirements for the password instead of letting people make a mistake and then telling them, hey, it should be at least 8 characters. To show the requirements upfront is extremely important. We can see that Zillow is trying to learn a little bit more about the user to show them relevant information once they get into the app. This is what I was mentioning at the beginning, where you have to find and strike the right balance between not asking too much because people will tend to drop off and not finish the onboarding flow. You can see that they're showing a clear option for people to skip, which is a very important aspect to not make people feel like they're stuck and that they have to answer all of these questions. Let's take a look at Revolut. Revolut is this bank in Europe, and they've been focusing a ton of their effort into developing a great user experience. As you can see here, they are using those slides to get people excited, to show them some of the benefits and already tell people a little bit more about the different products, just to get them excited enough to go through the sign-up flow, which is going to be very long for any bank. They're also borrowing interactions from social medias, using a little bit the concept of stories from those welcome screens, which is a very smart move here, and people can at any time press login and sign up if they want to skip. The design of the screens is beautiful, very simple, large title with great copywriting, beautiful illustration. So they're doing a very great job at this. This is what I was mentioning earlier in the video. You'll notice that they're using this passwordless sign up where they are just asking for your phone number and they'll verify your phone number by sending you a code. A very interesting pattern that I love is called the notification priming. Before asking people for access to their notifications, to their location, telling them why we need those access is extremely important. Here is a good example of a screen that really tells people about the benefits and what they could miss if they don't enable push notification. So this is one important mechanism to bring people back into your app. So let's take a look at the Airbnb onboarding flow. As we already mentioned in the past, using third-party authentication is very important when it comes to sign-up flow or logging flows. Here, let's take a look at what's happening if you decide to continue with email. One very important thing and mistake that I see very often in the design is you can see that they are using a disabled state for the button until you have the value here. Some apps will still use red button at this stage. People will try to click it and then you need to display an error saying, hey, you need to enter your email first before continuing. So making sure the button is disabled until you have the information that you need. As I was mentioning before, you can see how much screen they have between the continue button, which enable to keep the call to action visible even on smaller devices. What I love about this screen as well is they have a clear loading state. This is something that is often overlooked when it comes to user experience. As people will press the continue button, if it takes a little bit of time to go to the next screen, you have to show a loading screen. Otherwise, people will have the feeling that something is broken. They'll try to press this continue button 2 or 3 times. So clear loading state is very important to give people feedback. Notice that at this stage of the journey, Airbnb didn't record all of the information on the first screen. The reason why they are doing that is they want to make sure that they have at least the email or phone number, because this is what will create a user account. Once you have access to this email, even if people drop off later in the flow, you can always send an email to try to win them back. After that, you ended up on the explore page of Airbnb, and they're using other mechanisms to continue the onboarding after, which we will review in another video. All right, so I hope it was helpful to show you a couple of UX patterns that you can use in your app design specifically during the sign-up flow to avoid drop-off and make sure that people complete the sign-up flow. Let me know if this video was helpful. I'll see you on the next one.